You know, I say this a lot. We travel all over the world, all over the country. You never know where good music will take you. And it's taking us down to Texas, where this guy is from. And he's back on the show once again. We had him back on in November 2022 when What's Stopping Us was out. And he's come a long way since then. Just a few songs and a brand new album. That album is his latest album, West of Fort Worth, which is out now. Let's welcome in the country artist songwriter, Grant Gilbert.
Thank y'all for having me. It's good to be back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I am a little sad, but it is, when we're talking, it's a Monday, so I will forgive you because I know you guys do shows on the weekend. You might have a drink or two on the weekend, and you're trying to recover on Monday. So I know you're probably keeping it a little lighter tonight, but this is bar conversation. So, what's your go-to drink these days?
I'm gonna say probably Crown Black and water has been my go-to.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't just started drinking it, and I just got to where I like Crown Black, and it's smooth and it's easy, and just a little bit of water. I don't feel like I'm drinking Coke or anything. I feel like I'm being semi-healthy when I'm doing it.
I like that. So, I didn't have a whole lot of Texas whiskeys, but I know you enjoy good beer on occasion, and if you like Crown, you like rye. So this is even better. A little chicken cock righteous blonde. So,
Dang, I've never had that.
so that seemed to be it was
That's a
calling me
Texas
to.
beer.
Well, it's not a Texas beer. They're out of Kentucky, but they do a beer barrel finish. So I was like, you know what? At least that's something.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna try that.
I was gonna say I've had Still Austin, I've had Balcones, but I'm out of out of those at the moment. And I need more Texas whiskey.
Hey, I think all that's in my fridge is like Coors Light, Keystone Light. I'm pretty fancy around here.
Hey, those are still in my fridge too. We don't knock those around
Okay,
here.
we don't sleep on them. That's right.
Now, you know, you're from Texas, and when we say you grew up in a tiny town in Texas, you grew up in a tiny town in Texas with like 300 people.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. Small town in Texas. I graduated with like 32 kids in my class, 33 somewhere in there, and I mean that was is what it was all I knew. I loved it. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I live here now. You know, been all over playing the songs. Spent a lot of time in Tennessee and in Nashville, but this is home. So I try to be here every chance I can.
Well, and you grew up on, I believe, what the family farm. How did that shape you? The small town life. How did that kind of shape you? Clearly enough that you're back there and enjoying it still.
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up, you don't appreciate what all you have. I mean, we had, or like, I grew up, we had land and cattle, and almost kind of, I didn't, I don't know, like, I loved the cattle and the land, but like, it was almost kind of it almost felt like a burden in a way. Like, every Saturday we would wake up, play football on Friday and wake up on Saturday, and it's like, we got to work cows, got to feed cows. I get home from practice, have to go feed cows, take care of the animals. And I mean, when we were growing up like that, it's all you know, and you're like, nah, this is whatever. And then I moved off and went to school at Texas Tech in Lubbock. Spent a lot of time up in Nashville and Tennessee. I still go back, still there all the time. But just the more I went around and traveled, I guess you realize there's kind of nothing like home where your family is, and uh, you realize that it's kind of a unique way of life and lifestyle, and there's kind of nothing like it. It's kind of slower, and I don't know. There's just a little bit of peace in it, and I try to find that to find the balance in a crazy schedule.
Now, are you still working cattle and doing all that, or that's still part of the routine?
Yes, very much so.
I
Yeah,
like
some
it.
things never change. Yeah, so I don't know. I just enjoy it. It feels like kind of got it. I feel like whatever. I mean, musicians, everybody travels. It's crazy, but I feel like it really does help to keep 2 feet on the ground. And I mean, I think sitting on a tractor or a bulldozer, whatever, is the best place to come up with song ideas or lyrics, and you can take those to my co-writers or whoever, and I feel like just coming with a fresh idea a lot of times.
Well, like you said, it's a good way to kind of slow down and kind of just reset a little bit and have something else to take your focus because you got to be focused when you when you're out working on the farm a little bit and um, you know I know your parents, I believe they loved music growing up. Is that kind of where you got a love of music from them, and even your grandparents as well?
Yeah, I mean, my parents always had music playing somewhere. If we got in the feed truck, there was, old 80s country playing on the radio. Like, people, a lot of people I know are my age, like 90s country, 90s country. And I'm like, I like the 80s country better. Like, that's a little bit more my speed. I love the 90s country, don't get me wrong, but I think I grew up on a little bit of the older stuff. I mean, 70s, 80s, and even like stuff from the 50s. And I don't know, in Texas, there's a big shuffle beat, kind of honky tonk Johnny Bush scene. I grew up loving all that kind of stuff with like Western swing and fiddles. So I love that. And then my dad also got me into some Creedence Clearwater Revival and Bruce Springsteen and kind of heartland rock. And then I started writing songs and then went to college and I thought I wanted to have a country honky tonk band. And then we started playing the college bars and you realize it just, it's got to rock and it's got to be fast. It's got to be moving. So it's kind of how our sound has evolved. And, yeah, just kind of never stopped. Just kept going.
Well, and you talk about the honky tonks. I mean, did your parents really take y'all out to the club so they could dance, and you and your brother would just be hanging out watching them, do a little two step?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they love Johnny Bush and I mean Jay Cooker and the Outsiders. They're like a this local heroes around here. They're just two fiddles, a stand up bass and a pedal steel guitar, and just people come out. They'll they'll be set up on a flatbed trailer in a field or somewhere, and there's a concrete slab, and there's people just two stepping. And that's what my parents would do. I mean, or take us to Pearl's Dance Hall down in the Fort Worth Stockyards. They love going down there, and they still do it. I mean, they enjoy two stepping to the shuffle beat country, and that's really how I guess got the bug in a way.
Now, do you go two stepping at all anymore?
No, I do not dance. I,
Not at
I
all. Not
tell,
even a little.
I mean, I can dance. I'll maybe if I'm with my mom, I'll dance with my mom sometimes. But I tell them I play music. I don't dance to it.
You
So
let everyone else, get the rhythm from what you do.
exactly, I love it when we're playing and there's people back in the back dancing or something. But I'm gonna stick to strumming the guitar.
Well, and speaking of the guitar, you picked that up when you were a kid. What drew you to the guitar? If you're listening to kind of the two step music, that could have taken you a couple different ways, but the guitar is what called to you.
Yeah, I mean, I took guitar lessons, quit. Uh, didn't I don't know. I didn't like practicing, and I was so caught up in baseball, and football. At that age, you're playing all over, and um, I don't know. I just fell in love with music, fell in love with songwriting. Like my dad would play a song, and then he'd ask me who wrote it, and I'd have to know who wrote the song. It's kind of like a quiz game when we were driving down the road, and then I don't know. Had a friend that kind of learned the guitar, so I got back into it, and then I started taking fiddle lessons because I wanted to play fiddle, because I love the country, that stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I started learning fiddle and a little bit of the music theory and how, I guess, trying to learn another instrument, it kind of like made the light bulb go off for how guitar works. And then so I like quit fiddle kind of, and then just was all in on guitar and songwriting and that, and then started playing gigs, and I guess the rest is history, I guess.
Well, I love too that like you were talking about how your dad would throw out like who wrote the song, because I feel like most of us growing up don't realize like who sang it, didn't write it, and for you to get
Hmm.
that idea at an early age though had to open up a whole new world to music to you.
Yeah, I mean, just and I really didn't know how writing songs went. I thought it was some guy that lived somewhere, and somehow George Strait got a hold of the song, or Glenn Campbell, and I I guess the person that really introduced me to co-writing. I mean, I always loved it. I knew it was a thing. I didn't know that there was a whole ecosystem of it. But Josh Abbott taught me about co-writing. I mean, uh, he started kind of showing me the ropes around Texas and stuff, and then he was like, "You need to go to Nashville and you need to write." And which I'm sure he said that because the songs I was writing were awful. I mean, I don't know, but
You need help, go
yeah,
up there.
yeah, yeah. He's like, we need to set you up with some co-writes and go up there. And he texted a couple guys he knew, and some guys that were helping me. They knew some guys, and started going to Nashville co-writing, and then I mean, just really just kept digging in on that kind of thing. And I heard people say, I always say it, but I think songwriting is like a muscle. It's creativity, and the more you do it, the better you get. And sometimes people send songs. They just started writing or something. Send a song. What do you think? It's like, that's cool. Go write 100 more. Just keep writing songs and writing songs. So, and I mean, for every 10 we write, one or two of them is decent. Maybe, I don't know.
One
So
might get cut at some point in life.
maybe, and it's just like you just gotta keep writing them. So.
Well, you seem to be figuring it out a little bit, and when you think about like your journey to all this, your first gig, I believe, was a cold call to was it Fuzzy's Taco Shop? Is that right?
Yeah, that
And
was my little brother that did that.
how did that
Yeah.
go? What was it like playing at a place where you might not have exactly been legal to be at?
Yeah, no, I was probably 16 or 17, and I was probably 16, honestly, maybe 17. And I guess he got tired of hearing me play songs in my room, and I would just play these songs. And I had like a microphone stand and little amp set up, and I would sit and a stool in there, and I just sit in there and pretend I was just playing a gig and just play these songs over and over. And he's like, "You need to play a gig, you need to play a gig." And I've maybe gone to one open mic, and some local people were playing Fuzzy's Taco Shops on Friday and Saturday nights. They'd have music, from like 7 to 9 or 9 to 11 or whatever it was. And he called up there and got me a gig, and I was like, "Why did you what did you just do?" And so I had to learn some more songs I could play for the whole time. But that's kind of how I got started, and I think I made like $250 because all my friends' parents came and put put money in the tip jar probably. But and then all of them were mowing grass to pay for their gas money, and I was playing guitar, and playing football, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. I think I'll keep doing it." So I just was like, "This is a business. So I'm gonna do it." So just kind of kept going from there.
Well, I was gonna say you kept going. You went to Texas Tech, which if folks don't know, there's a pretty decent music scene there, and a few folks have come out of there. How
Yes.
did Lubbock, in kind of it's truly, and a live like they like live music too. It's not just just any type of music. How did that kind of impact your career? Kind of help build your approach to everything?
Yeah. I mean, Lubbock. I mean, I've told. I mean, if you listen to or if people that are fans of Texas music, they know the Blue Light Live out in Lubbock. I mean, it's just a place that where every Monday night they have a songwriter night. They just cultivate live music, and there's been so many great artists come out of there. And I went out there. I went to school at Tech. I mean, it was the only place I applied to. When I was a little kid, I wore a Texas Tech hat. My dad went there, so I got there, and I was kind of playing guitar and kind of started picking around at the little house parties, and would go to Blue Light Songwriter Night on Mondays, and started playing Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then kind of got to where we could sell it out on a Thursday. And then we just started playing all over town, playing the fraternity and sorority parties, and kind of started building it up from there. We'd go to class on Thursday, Friday, and kids at school or from class, they'd be like, "Hey, we'll see y'all tomorrow. We're coming to the show or whatever." And it was just fun and cool, and like it was fun. It was a job. We took it serious, but we didn't at the same time. Like it was just this kind of little magical time, where nothing really you can do anything you want at that age. You're allowed to screw up in college and learn.
Mm.
It's what it's all about, and we had fun and had some good buddies that we played it with and started it with, and a couple of them are still playing drums and guitar today. So I mean, we learned a lot, we failed a lot, but we got a little bit of success too. So it's been fun.
I was gonna say you've had just a little bit of success, and one of my favorite things is your name. We call you Grant Gilbert, but Grant is not technically your first name. and your brother also goes by that. And I am very confused. Is that how you ended up? Is that just what ended up happening? He said Grant Gilbert, and then that's what was on the marquee, and that's what stuck forever,
No,
or what
well,
happened here?
so my brother, we both have the same first name, Gregory. So, and then it's like, I don't know why my parents did that. I don't know, but we both of us go by our middle name. Like I go by Grant and he goes by Bryson. And it's been that way since we were kids. Like, and I think it. My parents always say they named us what they did because my granddad collected spurs, like for riding horses, and he already had a bunch with his initials. He was GBG, and my dad was GGG, and he wanted us to be able to wear the same spurs or something, same brand. I don't know, but that's kind of how all that got started. Kind of weird.
And you stuck with it.
Yeah, stuck with it. Yeah, so
And
figured
now,
it's too late now.
well, that is true. You know, a few people know you by now, and you talk about, as you build up in Lubbock, and getting those slots at the famed Blue Light. Wade Bowen, Josh Abbott, who you mentioned. You were doing covers, but you were sprinkling in originals. What was it like once you started to see the reaction to the originals? Because you're at a place that would probably let you know one way or the other if it was good or not.
Yeah, I mean, I was I mean, people would just kind of listen. I don't know. In Lubbock, people just love original music. It's what they want to hear. And I don't know. The only reason I knew if one was halfway decent or not, or maybe for what it wasn't decent, but it was catchy. My buddies, they'd be like, "Hey, will you send me that song or send me the voice memo of it?" Or they'd sing that one at the Blue Light or whatever when we played. And that was kind of the only way that I knew if one was good or not. They'd want to hear that one. So, but I don't know. I just a songwriting thing. I think it was always kind of deep down that was the core of everything. I think.
Well, and you were at college, like you said, you were going to class, you were doing things. When did you kind of have that moment though, where you were like, music might be what I want to do? Like I know you were studying agriculture in college and stuff like that. You grew up on the farm, but when was it like, maybe I can make a career out of this instead?
I mean, I don't know. I think I was probably just sitting in class looking at a paper and maybe sitting in a class that I was taking for the second time. And I was like, maybe maybe I should just try this music thing. But I don't, and maybe I'm not meant to sit in an office or something. I don't know, but I think it was somewhere in there, and I was like, I got to try it while I can. I got to give it a shot. And so we did, and took the shot. And it's been a roller coaster, but I guess we're still going. So what can we say?
The
I
ride is still going, right?
Yeah, if you would have told me we were still doing it, and back then doing what we're doing, I'd be like, I'm all about it. Now some days it's like just another day, or it's hard, or it's not, and then but little kid me would be happy and think it's pretty cool.
Well, I was gonna say, I still think it's pretty cool. I can't sing, I can't do anything musically, so that's why I talk to folks.
I and get to drink on a Monday night. Can't beat
That's true.
that.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of that, Josh Abbott, I believe he joined you on your 21st birthday to sing, and he's been described as like you said, a pretty big role model, mentor. He helped get you connected to some folks in Nashville. How did meeting him and having him kind of maybe take you under his wing really kind of impact your career as you were trying to see where it could go?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't I didn't know anything. We didn't know a thing. We were just a bunch of guys who were buddies, playing music, and they'd serve us beer or whatever, let us have a good time. We didn't care. We're heck yeah, let's go. And uh, he kind of helped us yeah, hey, this can be a for real thing. And he helped us get in and record some good music, kind of write some better songs. And I mean, he just kind of showed me, I guess, like the right way to do it. And like anytime we would open the show for him, if there was catering, he would make sure that our band got the catering too. I mean, if they had buyouts, like the venue gives each person, I think they would go buy food for us and our band. Let me ride the bus, write songs. uh, share a post that we made on whatever it was. It just didn't have to do it, you know. Didn't He didn't know us a thing. It just but just I guess believed in us, and saw a little bit of themselves in our little college band that we had, and really kind of helped us, kind of springboard us, kind of getting into the scene.
Well, and you talk about your writing and things like that. That's something that I know you really enjoy. And when as you like you said, it's a creative muscle. You've gone back to it. Where do you draw from? Is it experiences, ideas, something else? I mean, how does that process work for you?
A lot of ideas. I mean, some experience. I mean, you always are pulling from experience. That's whether every song is a fiction story or non-fiction story. It doesn't matter. There's at least some sort of experience in there, because you have to use experience, else you know nothing. None of it's real. You know, I mean, I don't. I feel like the songs are a little bit of experience, but like a specific feeling. Like whether the story happened in that particular order, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but like just making yourself feel that kind of feeling that you felt before, and somebody else has felt before in that story of the song. Like, I mean, like the song I just put out is called Where Did Dreams Go? And I mean, it just talks about like, you know, the it starts out the girl that went to Hollywood, and the whole town thought she'd be there, make it, and she didn't. And she kind of, where do dreams go when they die? And, she's in the bar, the bartender, and I guess in a way, it's like, where do dreams go when they die? When you whatever, when the girl leaves, you go to the bar. It's like everybody gets sad, they go have a drink. I mean, but you just got to think and be creative and put it in the most different way that you can think of, and try to just think outside the box, and tell a story. And I don't know. Like in that song, it talks about like, my granddad. I know he went to heaven. My hunting dog did too. Like, yeah, like I had little tree walker coonhounds when I was a kid. My granddad, my hero. It's all that. You just sprinkle little things in there, whether the whole song's true or not. But there's always some snippets that you can go off of and use.
Well, and as your journey, went along, obviously things were going well, and then obviously the pandemic kind of set everything back, and you kind of went, like all of us, you kind of had to reboot. You went home, and I think during that time, I think you were working a construction job, doing some things, and you heard "Held On To" on the radio one day, and that's when you
Hmm.
decided to kind of refocus once again. What was that moment like? Because obviously that led us to the first chat eventually, and now to a whole
Yeah.
second chat.
Yeah, it was just, I felt like everything was happening correctly, like right before COVID. I felt like it was, I almost said, it felt like it was teed up. Like everything was falling into place. And it was like, we're catching shows, we're kind of looking at a deal, whatever. And it's just like, stop, like we played some of our biggest and best shows that March, or that February, January, February, March, right before. And, um, yeah, it was just like the brakes were just shut down, just locked up. And then I don't know. I was like, well, I can't play music. What else am I supposed to do? I don't know if we're ever going to be able to go play music in a bar again. We didn't know. So I started working with one of my buddies for his dad's company, and uh, I don't know. It was just something to do. I mean, I enjoyed it, loved it, and but I heard my song on the radio while we were working one day, and I was like, man, I can't quit. And it was never in my mind to quit, but it was just like, we have to dig in on this and make it happen, whatever it takes. We have to make this happen. Like, you can't give up, And kept writing songs and kept doing it, and made it out alive, made it to the other side. But there was so many bands that it's not like we could feel bad for ourselves, because we were the only people that got affected. The whole world did. Every band did. I know there's artists and people that were way bigger than us that had to lay off their whole crew or lost their record deals or whatever. And we were kind of in a good spot where we could recover. Like, it felt like we lost everything, but looking back, it's like we were okay. We could recover. We were small enough where the restart. the restart line wasn't that far, so I guess we go back to it. That's what it felt like.
Well, now that restart line would I think be a little bit further along. Your new album, West of Fort Worth, it's out. You know, you reflected I think on it. You know, quote, it feels a little bit like coming home, and is a snapshot of where you've been and who you are and where you're headed next. So what does that mean, and how did this album kind of come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think during this album, I spent a lot of time, or even the last album before, I was spending a lot of time in Tennessee, and uh, I don't know, but I just kept wanting to be home, be in Texas, be more what I am. Like I'm a middle of nowhere Texas guy that lives west of Fort Worth, 45 minutes, rural, wake up, go outside and do something, sweat. I don't know. And I just feel like I needed to come back to that a little bit in these songs and this music. And then we wrote West of Fort Worth and went into the studio and cut it. And I was like, if there was a song that could sum up me and I had to show to somebody, like, it's West of Fort Worth, that song. I feel like it just sums me up. And I just feel like it should be the title track and kind of just like the anchor to this kind of whole album. So it's what we did. And I feel like whether it falls on its face or is a massive commercial success, I don't care, So, and it feels good to say that about a set of songs you put out. So, I really do love West Fort Worth and Where Do Dreams Go and the Bad Rep, all of them. I mean, I think I feel proud of the what we put together.
Well, it's a great collection of songs, and you know you've talked a little bit about Where Do Dreams Go, and you know that's your new single, and it's been called quote a hope filled sermon, and it's a song that I think sums up kind of your songwriting. Like you said, you tell different stories with it. How did that song come to be, and what was the message behind it a little bit?
Uh, yeah, I was I guess before my write, I was watching. I can't remember if it was a Jeff Gordon document where they sit down with. There's this series on YouTube, maybe with like Joe Buck or one of the sports commentators, and they sit down with him for an hour. And I was like, man, I can't remember if it was Jeff Gordon or Brett Favre. It was one of those two. And they were just sitting in two chairs talking, and they wound up being, maybe it was Jeff Gordon, being a race car driver. I don't know. But one of them was talking about that they wanted to be a football player or baseball player or something. And that ending was kind of their first dream that died. And I was like, huh. I started thinking, I wrote down dreams die. And I started thinking about like myself and like, I remember my last game of football. Like you're sad, whatever, and but you let go of it, of those things that you always wanted, and you let them go, and you let those dreams die, and new ones start, or new ones are born, or priorities change. I mean, it's just that kind of idea. And then I wrote with Brent Anderson and Joey Hendricks, and I was like, y'all hear me out. I got this weird thing. Dreams die. Like, dreams die. Like you move on things, and we started talking, and I think Brent was like, "Yeah, but where do dreams go when they die? Like, where do they go? Like, I know, dogs go to heaven, all dogs, but where do dreams go when they like? What happens to them? They just go away, and you don't care anymore, or what?" And so we started writing. I know my granddad went to heaven. My hunting dog did too, and they were like, "Well, what else? Where it goes when it dies? What?" And he's like, "Well, like I guess flowers, they wind up in the trash, and cars go to the junkyard, and it's like start thinking about it, and they're like, but yeah, what does that mean, And then just kind of wrote the story of the girl and the coming back that didn't make it in Hollywood, and the guy that blew his knee and lost his full ride, and just everyday people who are just trying to. Everybody wanted to be somebody once upon a time, but those dreams died, and now they just try to pay the rent and just kind of tell the story. I mean, and then we got to the end of writing the song of Where Do Dreams Go When They Die, and then Brent, like her songwriters, so you can always just spitball, freestyle something. He started singing Where Do Socks Go When They Dry, and just I was like, that's another one. We need to write the remix. Where do socks go? Everybody loses socks in the
I was gonna
dry.
say I don't know where they go. I'd really like to
No,
know. I'm
like
missing a
so,
lot.
like yeah. So we're next time we all get together, we'll probably rewrite "Where Do Socks Go When They Dry." Same melody, same everything.
Well, I mean, you talk about having fun on those co-writes and things, and you co-wrote every song on the album. Why is it? I know for some that's just they like to feel a part. Some will still cut outside songs. Why was it important for you to kind of have your touch on every song on the album?
I don't know. I've cut outside songs in the past, but I mean, I've just spent so much time the last year writing all these songs, and uh, I just felt like I just wanted to write them all this time. Uh, I've written hundreds of songs the last year or two, and there's a bunch more that I love. Some maybe more than these that didn't get cut. That'll be on the next one, or maybe never get cut. I don't know, but I just write so many songs, and I heard some outside songs that I love, but just all these felt like I feel like they needed to be released.
Well,
They kind of went together. I feel like.
and you were able to tell kind of a story that I think you wanted, and kind of your life and where it's at, and everything, and you talk about having success in this journey, and it's still going, and you've had a few songs. Drunk Since Dallas was your third consecutive number one single at Texas Regional Radio, which is a pretty big accomplishment. What does achieving that kind of success mean to you? Because clearly that means you're still doing something right.
Yeah, I mean it's always cool. I mean, anytime I guess you get a little plaque for your song being number one or whatever chart it is, like if it's the number one at the Starbucks that day, anything, it's cool. It makes you feel good. So I mean, it's definitely cool. I mean, being from Texas, I mean, I grew up listening to Texas radio. Like that was all I listened to, and being on even being on the radio seemed like a crazy thought. So the fact that these songs just keep getting played, and I guess people call and request them or want to hear them, and the program directors love them. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a cheat code when you keep singing about Dallas and Fort Worth and everything like that. But uh, no, I really do appreciate it, and sure, it for sure makes us feel good. I got some plaques I need to hang on my wall too, so I got to get around to that. Maybe next time I'll have them hung up back behind me.
I like it. I like it. And what we also want to see if you can write one that doesn't mention Texas. Just kidding. You can
Uh
do whatever you want.
huh.
That's where you're from. That's where you're from. You live the life, and
Yeah, right.
and
What you know.
exactly. And you truly do know the life of being on the ranch and in the small town, and you know along the way, I think your bio mentions you've learned a thing or two about going your own way. One of them was, quote, "You're better off begging forgiveness than asking for permission, and that hard work pays off." So where did that, how does that attitude gone into your career, and how has that influenced things, and how has it played out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's been a blessing and a curse all in one. I mean, like we've I've drug some of these guys in the band all over the U.S. for pennies, like or lost money doing it. Like, come on, like I don't
They
know.
like you. They really like you, right?
Gunner and Morgan, they've been playing with me since day one, and we've been all over playing these shows, and I'll be like, hey man, I remember starting out. We were in Lubbock, Texas, and I think I figured out that we could play a show in Atlanta, and I was like, Atlanta, like we got to go to. We need to play Atlanta, Duh. And so we loaded up from Lubbock, Texas, and drove to Atlanta and played this show, and lost money doing it. Like lost money, like. But we did it, and we had a good time doing it. I mean, we just wanted to get out and play shows, make fans, meet people, play songs, live it, live live the, like it's all the coolest stories and the funnest stories you ever hear. The ones where the band was out on the road, or it was crazy.
Or when the van
Like we
broke down.
yeah, like we wanted to get out there and just live it, and did it, and I mean, we're still doing it. We're a little bit smarter about it now. They're more calculated. Our decisions are much more calculated now. But yeah, that was just kind of the whole thing. It's like, let's just play shows. If you want, if they'll have us, yeah, we'll be there. If they'll set up a sound system, we'll be there. So that was kind of our thing.
Well, hey, like you said, you learned a lot along the way, and maybe you were able to grow a little faster than others might have because you took some chances. And you talk about hitting the road. You've got shows with Hudson Westbrook coming up, who you collaborated on the album. When you guys are on the road, what's that like for you, especially when you get to actually share your music and kind of get to see new places and meet fans and be maybe shocked that you got fans in Atlanta or North Dakota or
Yeah,
wherever you're at.
yeah. No, I mean it is fun. I mean, like a couple months ago, we played in Kansas, and we hadn't played in Kansas a whole lot of times, but like there was a bunch of people that came out for us, and I was just kind of like, this is. I wouldn't have thought like Kansas would be a decent spot, or like there's sometimes you'll go to shows and you'll be like, oh man, I thought we kind of had more people here. And then sometimes you'll go play somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and these people are excited to see you and know the songs and came to hear this specific song. And it's always it's kind of crazy when that happens. It doesn't matter if it was 20 of them that came out to hear those songs or a couple hundred. Like anytime somebody's coming to hear our music, it makes us feel good, and that's why we do it.
Well, and like you said, you guys have been able to kind of hit the road and perform in a bunch of different places. Is there a favorite place that you got to travel that you never thought you might get to go play?
Um, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess anywhere outside of Texas is somewhere I probably never thought I'd get to go play. But one of my favorite concerts I ever played was in Maryville, Tennessee, at this place called the Shed, and it was with Whiskey Myers, and it was just kind of in the Smoky Mountains, and I just thought that was one of the coolest concerts we've ever gotten to do. So,
Yeah, that's
but
not not,
yeah,
not bad at all.
no, and then just getting to play like some of these bucket list venues, like there's Whitewater Amphitheater back home. I mean, a couple places like that. We haven't done Billy Bob's yet, Billy Bob's Texas and Fort Worth, but that's on the to do list. So hopefully in the next year or so we can get in there.
Well, and I always love asking this one. Obviously we start off with, what's your go-to drink, and as we wrap up, I always like to ask this because it's always a different. The reaction is always fun when I ask the question because everyone goes ooh, and it's what's your favorite song of yours right now to perform live?
Probably I guess West of Fort Worth. That's a lame answer, but I really do like playing that one. It's just easy going, fun to sing, and people are liking it too, so that helps.
I was gonna say, see, you just never know. It could be something as simple as that. My favorite is when someone's like, "It's our new single." I know I shouldn't say that, but it's my new single. It's just fun, and I'm like, I get it. But if
The
especially
new
if you
ones
can
are fun
put,
to play.
especially if you can put a little spin on it live, where people kind of get something a little different than they hear on the recorded
Oh,
version, it's fun, right?
for sure. Yeah, yeah. You got to change it up a little bit.
And I know you got some shows. You just put out the album. It's crazy to think we're halfway through 2025. What else can folks expect from you the rest of this year and maybe on into the future?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most basic answer, but we got a bunch more songs written, ready to record. So we're gonna go back in the studio pretty quick and keep chipping away on them. And my goal the next year or so is to pump out songs, hopefully every couple weeks. So that's my I want to hammer down on it. We've been doing pretty good on putting them out with this album, but I'm ready to I don't know. I just feel like in today's world, you just got to put out so much more music. So I'm really trying to gear up and keep the new songs coming because I got them written. I just need to get them out.
I love to hear that. A man that just loves making music and continuing to write. And folks, if you haven't, I highly recommend listening to West of Fort Worth. It's a great album, Grant. It's fun to catch up with you because, like I said, a few things have changed since you released What's Stopping Us and we chatted. One thing hasn't. One day you will share a drink with me, and I think that'll
I
happen one
know,
day.
I know. I'm gonna quit leaving you hanging. I promise.
Well, but man, I do appreciate it, and like I said, folks, check them out if you haven't. I think you'll be pretty impressed. And Grant, man, cheers.
Yeah, thank you so much, and with my ice water, cheers.